Hi, I'm Todd Lansing. This is my wife, Denise. We had a Jesus experience that we wanted to share with you.
So the story is really around Todd's COVID experience. And he got sick in April of 2021. Like many people, he ended up in the hospital. And he was there for about 11 days, most of that time in isolation, so I wasn't able to see him. He was intubated and sedated, and by that time I was able to come in and be with him. And after about 7 days of that, the doctors called a meeting with the family and let us know that things were not going well, that the ventilator was up, giving him as much as it could. And my son asked, what are his chances? And the doctor said he would give him a 1% chance with about 30 days potentially to live. That was a really bleak time in our lives. The day following that, there was improvement, and Todd started to improve and eventually was off the ventilator and then back on the ventilator, kind of back and forth for a little bit. During that time, there was a lot of prayer, a lot of days for me, breathing and praying kind of felt the same. Prayers for healing, prayers for specific things because different organs would start having problems, and prayer specifically for him to know that Jesus was with him. So I knew he was fearful, and the doctors had said he could hear things probably in the room, and I didn't know what he was picking up on, but I just really wanted him to know that Jesus was with him during that time.
Yeah, so I'm told that on May 31st, my body crashed in ICU. They had a code blue alarm. So somebody started doing chest compressions, and they bagged me and started nitric oxide. But sometime during that experience, I was suddenly sitting next to Jesus. It was perfectly peaceful, beautiful, and weird at the same time. There was music all around, like a great symphony, not like anything we've heard before. I was first describing it like thousands of harps being played with bows. But as I've had several vocal procedures, it might have been vocal sounds. I could tell something wasn't right. And I said, Jesus, if it's my time, you can have me, you can have my spirit. And there was no reaction, just perfect peace and confidence. After some more time, and I have no concept of time, the music just continues. I said, but Lord, if it's not my time, please save me from this and bring me back. And show me your purpose you want me to fulfill, and I'll do my best to glorify you. And there was no reaction, perfect peace. We just enjoyed this great symphony of sounds. It was amazing. After some time, I woke up, and that was awful. But I couldn't talk. This voice, you can tell, is damaged, but I couldn't even make this much sound. I couldn't move anything because of the paralytics and stuff. But I kept hearing the music. I could hear the music. And I gradually got better. It was like 2 steps forward, 1 big step back for a long time. And they transported me to long-term acute care on June 13th. And after a couple days there, they gave me a 1-pound bar to try to lift. I couldn't lift it in the hospital bed. Denise grabbed it with her 3 fingers and lifted it, and we did 3 reps the first day. I remember I could barely lift a 1-pound bar with both arms. And that night I said, God, I can't do anything but try. All I can do is try. Please accept my efforts to try as worship, and I'll try as best as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that was my personal version of Colossians 3:23 to whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as though you're working for God. But that was my version. Anyhow, I continued to get a little bit better and a little bit stronger, and they moved me to the rehabilitation hospital on July 16th. Orientation the next day, they said they'd work me 3 hours a day and 90 minutes on one weekend day, I'd get a day off. Wednesday, July 21st, I stood for the first time and walked about 10 feet. Thursday and Friday, they worked me 4 and 5 hours each day. And Saturday, they worked me 2 hours. Sunday, they worked me for another 2 hours. And I am improving fast. The therapist came in Monday and said, you ready? I said, yeah, but I got a question. You said you'd work me 3 hours and 90 minutes on one weekend day, but it's turned into 4 and 5 hours and 2 hours on both weekend days. What's the deal? And she said, Todd, you're the only patient in the building that's willing to try everything we ask. And we love working with patients willing to try. And that's when I knew God was pleased. So I keep trying. But it was also around that time I stopped hearing the music, which was interesting. I came home August 4th, and I kept thinking, God, what was that? What was that sound? Where were we? What was that? And so when I was able to read again and started having quiet times, in November I read Romans 8. And Romans 8, 26 and 27, we don't know how to pray. So the Holy Spirit intercedes for us with groans, sighs, or sounds, that depends on your translation, that are inaudible, that people can't understand. And verse 27 says, and the Father who knows all hearts understands what the Spirit is saying. For the Spirit is pleading to the Father, begging the Father, in harmony with His will, for us, for you. That's when I thought in my spirit, oh Lord, did I get to listen to the sounds of a lot of people praying for me? Probably a lot of people in this church. And then in December before Christmas, I was reading Matthew 18. Matthew 18:19 says, where two of you agree in whatever you ask my Father here on earth, He'll do it for you. I decided to dig into that verse a little deeper, but I found out that the word agree in that verse, the Greek word for that is symphōneō. That's when I knew that I got to listen to a great symphony of prayer in perfect harmony in what I'm calling heaven's foyer, because I don't really know where I was. But I know clinically my body wasn't dead, but I know my body was trying to cross the valley of death. I know that sometimes prayer seems weird and feels weird, and you wonder if God can hear it. He can. And it's beautiful. I just want Jesus to be glorified through this, because it's all about Jesus. My doctor told me literally, he said, Todd, your recovery is nothing but a miracle. Medically, I'm not supposed to be here. By God's grace, I am. Thank you for your prayers and for listening to our story.
Yeah.